Well, hello. It's been a long time. I have been at work in Utah, and I'm just on my way back. Currently, I'm in a hotel room in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. Just waiting for my flights to whisk me away. Work was like I expected. It was intense, but it was good. I got another raise. I called my boss, and I said, he owes it to me basically. And he said yes, even though I'm not in a union and I didn't have the government come and do it for me. Um, he could have said no, but the fact that he didn't means there are other reasons. It's evidence that there are uh, powers out there in the market that keep my wages higher than they might otherwise be. But I don't want to talk about that so much. A lot happened since I was gone. Obviously, the biggest thing is the presidential election. I am very grateful that I was in the middle of nowhere and basically not immersed in it as much as many people. I mean, I had television out there, but I didn't watch it very much. Obviously, I had internet, so I knew what was going on, but you're really kind of focused on your mountainside. And it was a bummer because it was in Utah, and obviously Romney was exceptionally popular in Utah. And the next day, a lot of the rig hands were noticeably grumpy because he had lost, some of them explicitly so. And I'm not sad that Romney lost. I'm not a Romney fan. I never was. I hate both of them. And if I was going to be really, really pragmatic, I think that I prefer Obama over Romney. Now, it's really hard to say that because both of them are demonstrable liars. Romney's just famous for being a flip-flopper. He's for and against abortion. He's for and against gun rights. He's for and against state rights. He's for and against everything. Um, Obama, not quite as much, but he lies enough. He's told enough things that have not been true that you can never be certain that what he's saying is what he means or what he intends or what he's actually going to do. And what he does actually do is bad enough. What he promises is bad enough. And just in purely practical grounds, I like the fact that there's something of a Tea Party. I like the fact that conservatives are at least rhetorically anti-government, and that is just much less the case if the president is a Republican. And I know there's only a certain amount of mileage you can get out of that because people who are like that, they're going to switch to being statists, much more statists than they are anyway, as soon as the next Republican gets elected. At least most of them are. But I just prefer it that way. Also, rhetorically, Obama is not quite as bellicose as Romney is. But again, he's such a flip-flopper that who's to say that he'd really be as much a warmonger as he acted to be. But what really does upset me about the election are those people in this country that are, and really it's even worse than that because this is a problem that extends around the world, that are so enthralled by Obama that they are literally blind to the man. Um, and I'm sure we've all, given the way Facebook is, lost friends or gotten arguments with people. Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. An old friend of mine, not really a friend, someone from my high school who I knew, we were in band together, but we weren't really close friends. And I know that she's liberal, progressive, socially, economically, in every way. We never really talked about it, never really debated. I'm not out to convince everybody, especially people like that. But she posted a photograph of Barack Obama patting the head of a child. It looked like it was in the Oval Office. My guess is that the kid was there for some kind of signing statement. I don't know. And then the text was like, aren't they both cute? And she was putting this out there to be like, look how, great this guy is. He's nice with kids. He's photogenic. He's just great. Like, just in awe of this guy, Barack Obama. And I just posted, I said, he sure is nice to American kids. And this was not my idea. This was inspired by a meme that I had seen on Facebook that the meme was a picture of Obama holding a kid, saying, "It's a good thing you're an American baby, because if you were an Iraqi baby, I'd kill you with a Hellfire missile." And I basically posted to that effect. I said, look, Obama goes around, he kills kids on purpose. He's not targeting kids, but he's targeting terrorists or insurgents. And you know, the qualification that these people actually deserve to be killed is pretty debatable, because mostly they're engaged in defensive war against us, in which case that's totally legitimate. Secondly, to just target them but be willing to kill innocents basically wantonly by their own estimates. I mean, the military is saying something like 40, 50 innocents per insurgent, and that's their numbers, which means they could be much worse. That's not justifiable. Even if the person in question was really bad, even if it was like Osama bin Laden or something like that, it would be extremely difficult to justify just explicitly allowing innocent people to be killed. But you know, the people they're killing, even if we accept some of the details about these people aren't on that caliber anyway. This is literally like you know, bombing a neighborhood because there might be a murderer or a rapist in the neighborhood, or you know, there might be a murderer, rapist. You just do drive-by shootings randomly. That would never be considered all right. But yeah, he does this, and I don't think that they purposely target kids, although they purposely target weddings and funerals. Apparently, sometimes they kill kids. And I didn't just say this, you know, myself. I said it, and then I put links showing this in at the very least liberal-friendly periodicals like the New York Times, and especially the go-to liberal on this, the one principled, good, most consistently good liberal on this is Glenn Greenwald at Slate, or is it Salon? I think it's Salon. I posted several articles by him about the kill lists, about all this. And what was the response? I was unfriended, and the post was deleted. Now, I find this very, very interesting. It would be one thing if the person came and said, I understand all that, and that's bad, but I support Obama for pragmatic reasons. I think that on net he's better than, say, what Romney would be, or Bush, or McCain, in which case I agree with the latter. I don't know about that he's better than Bush, but he's definitely, I think, better than Romney or McCain. Definitely better. McCain wants Armageddon first day he's in office, and I'm glad that he's not there. In fact, there's evidence that George Bush kind of calmed him down, and Dick Cheney, and said, no, we're not going to war with Russia over Georgia. That's a scary story that people need to learn about too. But I can understand that. That's sort of pragmatism. And it's something, you know, if you ask me, if I had to pick Obama or Romney, I would say, well, Obama's a terrible mass murdering killer, and the welfare he distributes is terrible and doesn't really help anybody and makes us all poor, but I'd say he's better than Romney. But I don't go around lauding the guy every chance I get. You know, the day of the election, someone was just like, yeah, you know, I'm just glad he won. That's great. Like, it's not great. I mean, you might say it's the least bad option. You know, like, oh, at least my other tire didn't go flat, except way worse. But to me, I just don't understand, because the stuff he does vis-a-vis war is not a secret. He's not secretive about it. He talks about it openly. His lawyers talk about it openly and defend it. It's something that does make the press. It's, you know, as libertarians, there's all these issues we're really upset about, and it seems like almost none of them really make it into the mainstream. But Obama's kill list has done that. His wars have done that. The drone strikes, definitely. They've all. That's in the New York Times. That's on TV. It's on MSNBC and ABC and Fox. Not as much as it should or could be, but it's there. If you're on Facebook or any of these other social media sites, we say other social media sites, but besides Facebook, I mean, are there any other serious contenders? I'm sure there will be eventually, but I don't know of any yet. But anyway, then you're exposed to this, and so what's the excuse? That you agree with it or you just ignore it? And I think what it is and this is similar with all politicians, it's not just with Obama or with the Republicans, is there's a very strong tendency for people to project what they wish onto politicians, and politicians are very good, good politicians anyway, are excellent at crafting their persona in such a way that it can receive that imagery well. And part of that is to be relatively vague, so you speak in terms of hope or change or that sort of thing, and not concrete policies. Like Obama doesn't campaign on tax policy X or welfare program Z, just more emotional kind of things. Now his policies do translate into that, but it's kind of a mirror for people to look at and to be like, oh, that's what I want to see in a politician. It happens with Republicans too. I was just watching, someone had forwarded me a YouTube user, I forget his name, a conservative, not a libertarian, but basically a paleo-conservative, a very thoughtful guy. I watched parts of some of his videos, and they were pretty smart. And this guy was, not your typical rhino, and yet this is before the election. He started talking about how he didn't like Mitt Romney originally, but he was starting to think that he might be a great president. And he was listening. He was, just imagine if he got into office and he started doing all these things. And it was like repeal all presidential executive orders, and the kind of stuff that you might think Ron Paul might do. And I was just starting to think, is this guy serious? Is there any indication that Mitt Romney would ever do any of those things? He's never even claimed that he would, or hinted that he might claim that he would. He has no history of being principled or radical, let alone both. And he's a pathological statist liar. So where is this coming from, this enthusiasm based on a hope of what he might do from someone who I actually think is fairly intelligent? And they have to be projecting onto him. And libertarians do this too with Ron Paul. I'm a huge Ron Paul supporter, but you still see the same kind of thing sometimes, although I think libertarians tend to be a lot more rational, a lot more logical, a lot less prone to do that, but I think it still happens. But it's not funny when the person you're idolizing is a murderer, a mass murderer, who's murdering people with stolen money that he extorts from the rest of us, and then has the mendaciousness to act like he's philanthropic, that he is doing us all a favor, that he's the linchpin of society, which is what politicians and especially presidents all want to do. I can understand defensive voting. I can understand considering Obama less bad than Romney. I can't understand how people can look at the deeds he does. I mean, it'd be one thing if they came and said there are pragmatic reasons for this, and this is kind of interesting because the only really logical defense of Obama, the only things that you could say that would justify that would be like, oh, the war on terror, they're out to get us, you got to break a few eggs. That's the exact same justification that would legitimize everything George Bush ever did, everything every Republican ever promised to do or ever did, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, all that stuff. You could say, well, they could have, he is a bad guy, and it's funny that the liberals would have to make those arguments if they were going to defend this guy, but by and large I don't see them doing that. I see it mostly just, I want to imagine him being great, and it's weird when you point it out. Most of their reaction isn't, it's mostly just to be like, why are you being such an asshole to point this out? And it's like, he's the one who's killing people, he's the asshole, I'm just the guy who's telling you that he's doing it and referring you to other liberals just to pick the messenger who have pointed this out as well. So this isn't a new thing, obviously. This has always been a factor. Obama, for some reason, he's a brilliant politician in that he's better at it, and so he has there's a stronger emotional connection to him, and there are other reasons for that. I made like a 40-minute video about the appeal of Obama, and Black as a Lizard just said you could have just said because he's black, and long and short of it is, that is a factor. There's a lot of people in the United States and maybe around the world, although I'm less certain, who the idea of a black president is like some kind of historical fulfillment of destiny. that basically gives him carte blanche, or at least a blank check to do just about anything, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we have our first black president, and it doesn't matter if he's just policy-wise the same as President Bush or even worse. I mean, he explicitly does things that George Bush explicitly did not do, like assassinate American citizens. Now, chances are Bush actually did that. They did it on accident a few times, but they said, well, we weren't trying to do that. Obviously, you can't just assassinate American citizens without due process. Something that Obama has come out and said, absolutely, I can do that. I have a list of Americans I want to have killed. And you can't even see what that list is. But he does mug well for the camera with little kids, so I guess we can forgive that for now. So anyway, I'll be back for maybe 2 weeks. I'll probably be busy with Thanksgiving, but I'll probably make a couple other videos here. And that's it.